Hello, I am Sandra Lee, and this is Thursday Tips for Thriving. I am talking about biofield tuning and detoxification today. If you have any questions about this, feel free to put them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. Let me check and see if I can find this live here in Facebook so I can see your questions. So if I look off to the side, that's what I am doing. Here we go. Got it. So detoxification, super common issue that people have to deal with. And I talked about this yesterday with Nancy Broach, my guest expert yesterday's interview. She represents a company called H2O at Home, from whom I get a lot of cleaning products. So if you're interested in that, then check out the video from yesterday's guest expert interview and you can connect with Nancy. Detoxification. So the need for detoxification is such a big deal in the world today. So in addition to all of the normal exposure that we have to toxins through all of the various different arenas, it comes through the air, through the water, through the food, the chemicals they put in the food. And then right now, with all of the disinfecting that's going on and the hand sanitizers and just all of the craziness that's happening there, as well as any, medications that you may be exposed to, either because of you have ongoing issues and you need medications, or you received the medication associated with what the government is recommending that people get. There's all of these sources of toxins that we have to deal with. So, what happens when I get toxic substances in my body? In the article that I wrote this week, fragrances, I don't remember what it was about, fragrances, but how to manage the issues associated with fragrances. I was talking about the impact on the body of exposure to these things. When I'm exposed to things that I breathe or I drink or I eat, it absorbs into my body and I have these toxins that I have to get rid of. If there's something that gets on my skin, either it's cleaning products or laundry products, like Nancy and I were talking about yesterday, it absorbs through the skin and it gets inside my body and it doesn't belong there. And those chemicals, those toxins can prevent my cells in the tissues of my body everywhere, prevent them from being able to do their jobs properly. That's basically what it gets down to. It keeps my body from being able to function properly. And I have any of a sort of different detoxification responses and reactions. What kinds of reactions might that be? I know when I am exposed to odors, like detergent smells. In my article, I was talking about the detergent smells coming off my son's clothing. Gives me headaches pretty immediately when I'm driving in the car or passenger in the car. Most often this happens when I'm a passenger in the car and not in control of what's going on with the windows. If the windows are down, when I am behind another vehicle that is running, the exhaust comes in the car, and again, immediately I get a headache. So, a common symptom that you may have when you are basically being poisoned, essentially, having toxins that are coming in, super common response is headaches. My mother used to get noises like a clicking noise in her throat. You could have body aches or joint pain or, you know, digestive symptoms. Um, you could have, a racing heart and, rapid heartbeat. Some people might have, like blood pressure types of thing, all kinds of responses to exposure to toxins. And these are all signs that my body is not able to function properly because of the interference of these substances. If I breathe something in and I start to cough, that's my body's doing what it can to try and expel whatever it is that has come in. And these are natural, healthy responses of the body to exposure of these substances that don't belong inside here. The body's ability to get rid of things is amazing. The skin is my largest organ, and it's where a lot of toxins potentially can come in. This is also where a lot of detoxification happens. So my body releases things from inside out the skin. If another common symptom of being exposed to a toxin is having a rash. So it's like an irritation at the skin. Something has come in and the body says, this doesn't belong here. And it creates this inflammatory response, trying to find a way to get that substance out of the body. Occasionally someone will have something like asbestos fibers, for example, just like coming out of their skin. There are people who occupationally, not so much anymore because they're paying more attention to this, but asbestos fibers are, damaging to the body, cause all sorts of, damage to tissues, cutting things and all that inside the body. So it's like, it's not good to inhale asbestos fibers. And there used to be people who occupationally had asbestos, in their environment, and they would breathe it in. And, I don't know if this still happens, but I know I heard, numerous stories over time of people who just going through their life, living, and then they would get a rash and they would test it and found that there were asbestos fibers coming out of the skin. That person is no longer exposed to asbestos. Their body has asbestos inside it and is doing the best that it can to get rid of it. And sometimes the easiest way to do that is just like, whoop, push it out through the skin. Pretty amazing what the body is able to do. So what are the normal detoxification routes? I can breathe things out. I can breathe things out that have come in, right? Like breathing in particles or smoke or, chemicals and stuff. So coughing is my body's effort to get rid of that. There's things coming out of my skin we just talked about. The most significant and important ones are urine, meaning the things that I pee out, and feces or stool. So these are the ways that the body pulls stuff out of the bloodstream, puts it into the urine. That's what the kidneys do, and then excretes those toxins through the urine. And then when there is something I have consumed and my body digests that food and pulls out the nutrients, and then what's left, the solid stuff that becomes a stool, is the portion of the food that the body decided it didn't want to keep, didn't want to use, and so packages it up and it excretes it. So if there are things that I have eaten that come in that the body doesn't want to use, it can package it into the stool and excrete it that way. There are toxins that the body, has inside that it finds a way to isolate it and get it into the stool to get rid of it that way. How does it do that? So let's talk about the liver, because the liver is very, very important when it comes to detoxification. The liver filters, stuff out of the blood, and it reacts with these toxins, these chemicals, these heavy metals, these used hormones, all of these things that the body has to isolate and then get rid of. The liver is very involved in this process. And it takes these substances that it isolates in the liver and then it reacts with them. There's phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification, where it's a process where basically another substance gets attached to this molecule, whatever it might be, and then it attaches another molecule to it so that it can be excreted. So phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. Super simplification of a very involved process, but that's basically the gist of it. And this happens in the liver. And then the liver takes these things that it has isolated and is ready to get rid of, and it puts it into bile. What is bile? Bile is a substance that the liver makes that the body uses to digest fat. What does that have to do with detoxification? It's part of the route by which the liver gets rid of this stuff. So it takes these used chemicals, old hormones, stuff that it's getting rid of, and it puts it in the bile. And then when I eat fat, when I consume fat, my body has to digest that. And it digests it by using bile. Bile from the liver goes into the part of the small intestine where this takes place. And then it helps to digest the fat. And then the toxins that are in the bile wind up going out with the stool. So handy, right? The liver detoxifies these things, puts it in the bile. The bile then goes into the small intestine to help digest the fat, and then it all goes out. Amazing how that works. The liver is very, very important in detoxification. The colon is also very important in detoxification. So I was just talking about how the waste material from the food, some of which might be toxins, right? So it's sitting there in the colon, the large intestine, getting ready to go out. So the body has substances that are in the stool that we don't want to absorb back into the bloodstream because it can do that. So let's talk about the process some more. So it's like we have the stomach, and then the food goes into the small intestine where digestion continues and absorption of nutrients continues in the small intestine. And then it goes in from the small intestine, it goes to the large intestine. And the large intestine absorbs a lot of water. So it's like it takes this liquidy stuff coming out of the small intestine. And in the large intestine, it absorbs most of the water because we want the water. I don't want to get rid of all my water. When I have too much water in my stool, that's when I have diarrhea. I don't want diarrhea. I want to have my stool be more solidly formed. Not like rocks, but firmer. So it's like the large intestine pulls out a lot of the water, and it pulls out some of the nutrients. Most of the nutrient absorption takes place in the small intestine, but there's some that happens in the large intestine. Now, if the stool stays in the large intestine for a long time, then some of the toxins that are in the stool can get absorbed back up into the bloodstream again. So, for this reason, you don't want to have stool sitting in your colon for long periods of time. You might have heard that it's good to have a bowel movement at least once a day, if not more than once a day. I've heard that there are some people who they're lucky if they have a bowel movement once a week. That's not good. It's sitting there in the large intestine too long, can become impacted, it's like icky. But the toxins that are in the stool can then get absorbed back up into your bloodstream. Your body went to all of that work to pull those toxins out and package them to get rid of them, and then you absorb them back. So the body has to go back out there, isolate it, put it back into the stool. And if you're not having bowel movements very often, that it happens over and over and over again. So this process of detoxification is really, really important to take care of each of these pieces. I want my liver to be healthy enough so that it's able to detoxify these substances and put it into the digestive system. I have to eat enough fat to require that my body use this bile. And then I need to have my bowel movements being often enough that the stuff goes out. I don't want to have diarrhea. So it's like, how do I manage all of these pieces to support my body in being able to detoxify properly. It's a thing that needs to be attended to. So for you, it's a valuable thing. If you have a healthcare provider who can help you with these things, it can be very, very supportive. And if I am not able to detoxify, then that means that my ability to be healthy, my ability to heal from injuries, to hold off infection. Right now, when people have infections going on, is such a big deal. The best thing you can do to not get the thing that's going around is to stay healthy. So this detoxification process is very, very important. And on top of all of the normal exposures, we have hand sanitizers and disinfecting chemicals, some of which are extraordinarily toxic and dangerous. So if you can source cleaner, safer things to use for disinfecting, like with H2O at home, and particularly something like hand sanitizer that you're putting on your hands, that's absorbing into your bloodstream. So make sure you use products that are safe for that kind of exposure. I know back in March of 2020, before this all really started happening, I saw somebody who, in a social situation, was sanitizing her hands every 10 minutes. I thought that was a little over the top, but she felt like that's what she needed to do to be safe. So if you are using chemicals, then do everything you can to have them be as safe as possible and support your detoxification processes. So today's talk is supposed to talk at least a little bit about biofluid tuning and detoxification. So in doing biofluid tuning, how do I support this detoxification process? The first part is just keeping energy moving through the body. Keeping energy moving through the body. If the energy is stuck and blocked, nothing is going to work properly. Both detoxification and, repairing any injury that may have occurred, thinking clearly, operating, making decisions, doing all the things that I need to do, relating with people, getting my work done. All of that requires that my energy be moving. So, biofluid tuning helps tremendously with that. Now, let's talk about detoxification specifically. As part of this detoxification support that I provide for my clients sometimes, if there's necessary, is I work with the liver. So in biofilm tuning, I find that energy gets chaotic and stuck, not just in the body in general, but in specific organs or areas or issues. So if the energy is stuck in the liver, so it's like when I do my tuning fork, right? It's like it might go, it's like it just might feel stuck and stagnant, not moving. So just doing a little bit of this over the liver can support the energy flowing through it. So as I'm here and I'm talking and I do this, thinking about the liver, imagine the energy in your liver is able to move. The liver is below the right side of the rib cage in the body, and it extends down towards the pelvis. All right. So it's like the liver starts, it starts on the left side, goes across and down. Basically, it's a big triangle. In there is your liver. So as I do this, just imagine you have energy traveling through your liver, flowing through the liver, supporting the liver in releasing and managing any of toxins that it's having to deal with. See, just a little bit is all it takes sometimes. If somebody had significant exposure to toxins or chemicals or whatever going on, I might wind up doing more than that. So that's the liver. Okay. I also do a similar thing with small intestines and the large intestine and just supporting their keeping things moving, both pulling out the water and the nutrients if the person needs support with that, but then keeping the energy moving so that the large intestine is able to actually release whatever it is that's in there that's getting ready to go out. We need to support it in actually doing that with that. Now, there's another thing that comes in here. Okay. The large intestine is very much involved in emotional processing as well. So if I am holding on or stuck with mental and emotional issues, that can have my large intestine holding on to the stool and not getting rid of the toxins. So sometimes if I have somebody who's stuck with mental and emotional stuff, then doing a little bit of energetic support for that with the Biofield Tuning supports their body in being able to allow the detoxification process to continue and to eliminate things. Now, when doing Biofluid Tuning, I also work with the lymphatic system and helping the lymphatic system be able to clear up the waste in the body so that it can go out. Getting that lymphatic flow moving so that the tissues in the body, right? Well, I'm not going to get into this. That's too much to get into. Just to know that I support the lymphatic system with Biofield Tuning as well. And this all helps detoxification so that I can be happy and healthy and think clearly. Let's talk about this thinking clearly piece. Okay. If I have toxins, thinking about me and the exposure to laundry chemicals, like we were talking about, or car exhaust, right? That enough that it gives me a headache. Am I going to be able to think clearly? Probably not. So, supporting my body in releasing those toxins, not responding to them in that way where the energy is stuck, but allowing the energy to flow. When the energy is able to flow, my body's much more able to handle those toxins and get rid of them. And then I'm able to be more clear, be more on target with what I need to do. If I am in that chaotic space because of chemical exposure, it's like my ability to focus and do what I want or need to do is severely impaired. Severely impaired. So it's like there have been times where I have been in a chaotic, stuck place. And instead of like going and doing what I need to do, I wander around kind of aimlessly, even if it's just in my house, just kind of like, I don't have the focus to do what I need to do. So sometimes if toxins are causing that kind of issue, that affects my ability to think. Glad you appreciate that, Sharon. Thanks for being on. If you have any questions, you can ask. So, Biofield Tuning just supports all of this so much. I had a client that I just worked with for her second session. And after the first session, her body had like a purge, like let go of all kinds of stuff that she had been holding on to. And she was kind of conscious of that. Like, wow, that's wild. All this stuff getting out. Awesome. Like Eileen McCusick, creator of Biofluid Tuning, says, better out than in. Might not be very pleasant all the time while it's happening, but hopefully it's short term. To have somebody have such a physical expulsion response to Biofluid Tuning is amazing. And it ended. It didn't continue and continue and continue. In Biofluid Tuning, we recommend that people take Epsom salt baths. Because if this detoxification is happening just through doing Biofield Tuning, then the detoxification is supported by having these practices that support the body in releasing what needs to be released. In an Epsom salt bath, you have Epsom salt. I also put baking soda and salt in, not just Epsom salt. but Epsom salt alone can be really helpful. So it's like there's water that has these beneficial supportive substances in it. And being in that water supports my body in releasing through my skin, excreting through my skin, whatever it is trying to get rid of. At the same time, I wind up absorbing some magnesium because Epsom salt is a form of magnesium. And the magnesium is supportive of detoxification, it's supportive of relaxation, and it helps the muscles. Body uses magnesium for so many things that getting magnesium is a good thing, and Epsom salts is great. Another benefit, actually, of the Epsom salts that I don't talk about as much is the sulfate, magnesium sulfate. The body uses the sulfate for all sorts of beneficial and necessary things as well. So Epsom salt baths are really terrific for that reason. If you're not able to take an Epsom salt bath, we recommend that people take salt scrubs. You can take Epsom salt or just regular, like sea salt, in the shower and just rub it over the skin. Because some people don't have bathtubs, just to be honest. Okay. So it's like that supports that detoxification through the skin. The skin is your largest detoxification organ. So supporting it in doing that is really, really important. Some people dry brush, right? Or use a loofah or something to just help the skin increase the circulation and get rid of whatever it is that your body is ready to let go of. And again, Biofluid Tuning just supports all of that so much. One thing is also just your intention. Intend to release things that your body is ready to let go of. And sometimes just asking yourself, what do I need to do to support my body in releasing these belief systems, these substances, these toxins, these chemicals, these things that I'm exposed to? All of that. How do I support myself in letting these things go? Another issue on a more mental and emotional level is, am I holding on to things that it's time for me to let go of? Do I have belief systems about myself, about life, about my relationships, about what's possible for me or not possible for me? Do I have things running around in my mind that somebody said to me decades ago that I am still allowing to limit what I am in my life, who I can be, what I can do? Do I have old messages in there that are toxic to me, that are preventing me from living the full life that I want to live? Biofield Tuning is also really terrific at that because it helps me and my clients to resolve the trauma, resolve the things from the past that are weighing me down, that are limiting me and my thoughts about what's possible for life, for who I can be. Can I be lovable? Can I have what I want? Can I ask for what I want? Super common issue that I wind up working with people in Biofield Tuning. Their freedom to be able to ask for what they need, to be themselves, to express themselves. Those are all forms of detoxification as well, letting go of those negative experiences that are still limiting who I can be today. So allow yourself to find some freedom from all those things. Allowing those negative beliefs, let them go. And when I'm no longer carrying around those negative beliefs, there's also more energy flow through my body. And this supports my body in taking care of itself, functioning well, and releasing the toxins. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been interesting. If you have any questions, put them here and I'll answer them over time. I make these videos, these like how Biofield Tuning works videos and stuff like that. I make them every day. So if you have questions, about any of these things, stick them in there and I'll put them on my list and get to them. May you be happy, healthy, and successful in your life, in your business, in your relationships. Be yourself and let go of the toxins, the physical toxins and the toxic thoughts. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Breathe.